In this neighborhood, a well can be more dangerous than a declaration of war. A HOA representative thought she could destroy me with a red canister and toxic green smoke. She didn't know that every drop of water tells a story, and I knew every inch of its infrastructure. What happens when someone tries to poison the system you built with your own hands? I've lived in this neighborhood for 40 years. Built my house with my own hands, designed the water infrastructure that keeps this community alive. Every pipe, every valve, I know them like the back of my hand. Then Amanda Reynolds showed up, new to the HOA, fresh out of some corporate management job, thinking she could remake the neighborhood in her image. The violations started small: lawn height, fence color, ridiculous nitpicking that slowly escalated. But this wasn't just about rules. This was personal. She wanted to push out the old-timers, remake the neighborhood into some sterile suburban nightmare. And I became her primary target. Month after month, the notices kept coming. Fines, warnings, threats of legal action, all because I refused to conform to her perfect little vision. Little did she know, I had decades of local knowledge. And in this neighborhood, knowledge is power. I discovered the contamination Tuesday morning. The well, my family's water source for decades, was transformed into a toxic nightmare. That green smoke rising from the stone walls wasn't just unusual. It was a calculated attack, a chemical signature of pure malevolence. Forensic tests confirmed my worst suspicions. This wasn't some random act of vandalism. It was a sophisticated chemical cocktail, carefully engineered to destroy not just water, but everything connected to it. Trace elements revealed a complex mixture designed to break down the entire water infrastructure I'd spent years maintaining. The red canister they left behind was no ordinary container. Industrial grade, marked with chemical hazard symbols, it spoke of premeditation. Someone with specialized knowledge had planned this meticulously. Someone who understood water systems, who knew exactly how to cause maximum damage. I've spent 4 decades in water infrastructure. I've seen contamination attempts, industrial sabotage, every trick in the book. But this was different. The precision was chilling. The chemical composition suggested someone with advanced technical training, someone who knew exactly what they were doing. My mind raced through the possibilities. Who would go to such lengths? What could possibly motivate such a targeted attack? The HOA had been pushing boundaries, but this was beyond a simple violation notice. This was war. The green smoke continued to billow, a toxic testament to someone's desire to destroy everything I'd built. Each curl of vapor was a challenge, a declaration of war. But they didn't understand the fundamental truth about water systems and about me. Every pipe, every valve, every inch of this infrastructure was something I knew intimately. I designed, built, and protected this system for decades. This wasn't just about water. This was about everything I dedicated my life to. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated me. And in this game of water and power, that would be their fatal error. My years in water systems taught me one crucial lesson. Evidence is everything. And I wasn't just going to collect evidence. I was going to build an unbreakable case. I started methodically. Water samples from the contaminated well. Soil tests revealing chemical traces. Residue analysis that would make forensic experts take notice. Each test wasn't just an investigation. It was a strategic deconstruction of Amanda's carefully constructed lie. Specialized chemical compounds don't just appear by accident. These were targeted, precision-engineered substances designed to systematically destroy water infrastructure, a fact that would become my most powerful weapon. Local environmental experts were stunned beyond words. The chemical cocktail was a masterpiece of malevolent engineering, unlike anything they'd encountered before. It wasn't just toxic, it was a calculated assault, strategically formulated to dismantle the specific mineral compositions of our local water system. Weeks of rigorous laboratory analysis peeled back layers of complexity that would remain invisible to most. I reached out to old contacts, fellow engineers, water management professionals from across the state. Quietly, strategically, each conversation added another piece to the puzzle. I learned about recent HOA procurement records, suspicious property management decisions, and a network of connections that ran deeper than anyone suspected. Bank records told their own story. Email trails became a roadmap of manipulation. Property documents revealed a pattern of systematic harassment. Digital footprints are never truly erased, and I was going to expose every single one. Each document was meticulously scanned, cross-referenced, analyzed. The surveillance began in earnest. Security camera footage, property records, communication logs, I documented everything. Late nights turned into early mornings. My dining room transformed into a war room of evidence. Old engineering notebooks, contact lists, historical neighborhood records. Nothing was overlooked. Amanda thought she was untouchable. The HOA believed they could operate without consequence. But they had no idea what was coming. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was building a case that would expose their entire operation piece by devastating piece. My years of technical expertise were now a weapon. Every skill I'd learned, every system I designed, was now focused on one singular purpose. This wasn't just about my well anymore. This was about justice, about protecting a community that had forgotten what true leadership looks like. In water systems, like in life, pressure finds a way through. And my pressure was about to break through their carefully constructed facade. Most people see water as a basic utility. I see it as the lifeblood of a community. And I knew every single artery of this neighborhood's water system better than anyone could imagine. My career wasn't just about engineering. It was about understanding the invisible infrastructure that keeps a community alive. Decades ago, when this neighborhood was just empty land, I designed the entire water distribution network from scratch. Every pipe, every valve, every connection, they were my creation, a complex system that most residents never even thought about. What most people didn't understand was how intricate and interconnected our water systems truly were. A single valve in the right place could control water flow to entire sections of the neighborhood. I had meticulously documented every single connection, every potential point of control, creating a blueprint that was part engineering marvel, part strategic masterpiece. The HOA thought they could poison my well. They had no idea I could shut down their entire water supply with the turn of a single valve. Not just their homes, but their businesses, their community centers, everything could be brought to a standstill. Years of precise planning, decades of understanding local infrastructure had given me a power they couldn't comprehend. My documentation was legendary among local engineers. Hand-drawn maps from the original installation, updated digital schematics, maintenance logs dating back decades. Each document was a piece of a complex puzzle that only I could fully understand. Notebooks filled with technical details, emergency protocols, and hidden connections that most would overlook. Amanda and the HOA board believed they were untouchable. They operated with a sense of bureaucratic immunity, thinking their rules and notices could control everything. They didn't realize that water infrastructure is about more than just pipes and valves. It's about power, control, the ability to make entire sections of a neighborhood essentially uninhabitable with a single strategic move. I began to map out my response methodically. This wasn't going to be a simple act of revenge. This was going to be a systematic dismantling of their power structure. Each valve became a potential weapon. Each connection a strategic point of leverage. Years of technical expertise were now focused on one singular purpose. The neighborhood's entire water system was like a complex organism, and I was its original architect. Every underground pipe, every water main, every hidden connection, they were extensions of my original design. The HOA had no idea how vulnerable they truly were. The irony wasn't lost on me. They tried to contaminate my well, thinking it would break me. Instead, they had just revealed their most critical vulnerability. In the world of infrastructure, knowledge isn't just power, it's survival. And I had decades of knowledge they couldn't begin to comprehend. My years of service, my dedication to this community had given me something far more valuable than a simple engineering degree. I had a deep, intrinsic understanding of how communities truly function, how systems connect, how power really flows. They thought they could push me out. They had no idea what was coming. The morning was crisp, sunlight cutting across the stone well where everything would change. I positioned myself precisely, just like in those old standoffs, one hand ready, eyes locked on Amanda. 40 years of engineering, 40 years of building this community, all converging in this single moment. The well stood between us, more than just a water source. It was a symbol of everything I'd created, everything she was trying to destroy. She arrived with that typical HOA confidence, a red canister of chemicals dangling from her hand like some twisted trophy. The green toxic smoke from my well was still curling into the air, evidence of her attempted destruction. Each wisp of green told a story of calculated malevolence, of a plan carefully constructed to eliminate me. "You've gone too far," I said, my voice calm but loaded with years of built-up frustration. Poisoning a well isn't just a violation. It's a declaration of war. Amanda's professional demeanor cracked for just a moment. She'd expected me to be defeated, broken. Instead, I stood there, a weathered engineer who knew exactly what she'd done and how she'd done it. My years of water system expertise weren't just a profession. They were a weapon. "This neighborhood doesn't belong to you anymore," she snapped, that corporate tone cutting through the morning air. "The HOA is modernizing. Old-timers like you are relics." I let out a low chuckle. A lifetime of technical knowledge bubbled beneath the surface. Modernizing? Is that what you call systematic harassment? Destroying someone's water supply? The red canister caught the sunlight. A symbol of her arrogance, her belief that technical complexity could overcome decades of local knowledge. She had no idea of the intricate infrastructure I designed, the hidden connections that ran beneath every street, every property. "You think this is about a single well?" I continued, my voice steady. "This is about the entire ecosystem of our community. Every pipe, every valve. I know them like the back of my hand." Her confidence wavered. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. The green smoke continued to rise from the well, a toxic reminder of her failed attempt. Those chemical wisps told a story of precision, of a carefully planned attack. "You can't prove anything," Amanda said, her voice wavering. A low, calculated chuckle escaped me. "Can't I?" In one fluid motion, I pulled out my folder, decades of meticulously collected evidence. Maintenance logs, original design schematics, chemical analysis reports. Each page wasn't just paper. Each document was a precision-engineered weapon, forged from 40 years of technical mastery. Her eyes widened as I began to spread them out, a tactical arsenal of truth. I began to detail her plan, the specific chemical composition she'd used, the method of contamination, the precise points of vulnerability she'd targeted. Each revelation was a surgical strike, breaking down her attempted cover-up piece by piece. The well stood between us, more than just a water source, now a battlefield of neighborhood politics, technical expertise, and personal vendetta. The green toxic smoke continued to curl upward, a visual metaphor of the conflict brewing. "I know exactly what you did," I said, "and I know exactly how to make you pay." Amanda's hand tightened around the red canister. Her professional facade was crumbling. She'd underestimated me, a fatal mistake in a world where knowledge is the ultimate power. "This neighborhood is changing," she stammered, "whether you like it or not." "No," I replied. "This neighborhood will remember who actually built it, who protected it, and who tried to destroy it." The green smoke continued to rise. The red canister gleamed, and between us, the well, my well, stood as a testament to everything that was about to change. Little did she know, I was about to show her the true meaning of power in this community. The HOA board meeting was my stage, and I was about to perform the most important presentation of my life. I arrived with a meticulously prepared folder, decades of documentation that would expose everything. Every page was a weapon, every document a potential knockout punch. Years of technical precision were about to become my ultimate revenge. Amanda sat at the head of the table, her confident facade already starting to crack from our confrontation. The other board members looked uncomfortable, sensing the tension that filled the room like electricity before a storm. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my voice calm and methodical. Today we're going to discuss the true nature of our neighborhood's water infrastructure and the systematic attempt to destroy not just a single well, but the entire community's foundation. The room fell silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. One by one, I began to reveal the evidence. Chemical analysis of the contamination attempt, a sophisticated blend of compounds designed to break down water systems. Detailed maps of the water infrastructure I had originally designed decades ago, each line and notation a testament to my expertise. Maintenance logs documented every single modification. Financial records revealed suspicious transactions related to recent HOA decisions. Property management documents showed a pattern of targeted harassment against longtime residents. The water system you think you control, I explained, spreading out intricate engineering diagrams, was designed by me. Every valve, every pipe, every connection. And I know exactly how to expose the vulnerabilities you've been exploiting. Board members began to look at Amanda differently. The professional veneer was peeling away, revealing the calculated aggression beneath. The red canister from the well sat on the table. Physical evidence of her attempted destruction. I produced documentation of every HOA violation she'd issued against me. Every fine, every notice, and alongside them, evidence of how these actions were part of a larger pattern of systematic harassment. This isn't just about me, I continued. This is about protecting our entire community from bureaucratic overreach. About preserving the integrity of a neighborhood built on trust and shared history. The green smoke from the well became a central exhibit, a visual representation of the toxic intentions that had been lurking beneath the surface. Each board member could see the evidence with their own eyes. Amanda's colleagues were no longer just listening. They were realizing the depth of her actions, the systematic way she had been trying to push out longtime residents to remake the neighborhood in her image. You thought you could destroy my well, I said, looking directly at Amanda. You thought you could break me. Instead, you've exposed your own corruption. One by one, board members began to distance themselves. Whispers turned to murmurs. Amanda's power was crumbling in real time. Years of calculated manipulation were unraveling with each piece of evidence I presented. I had come not just for revenge, but for a complete exposure of the truth. This was about more than a personal vendetta. This was about maintaining the integrity of a community, about protecting the people who had built and maintained this neighborhood for decades. The reckoning had begun, and there was no turning back. In that moment, I wasn't just an engineer. I was a guardian of everything this neighborhood represented: history, community, and justice. The aftermath was swift and decisive. Amanda was removed from the HOA board within days. Her attempt to poison my well became the catalyst for a complete overhaul of the neighborhood's management. The community learned the truth, not just about the contamination attempt, but about the years of systematic harassment that had been brewing beneath the surface. My decades of documentation became more than just evidence. They became a roadmap for change. New HOA guidelines were implemented. Protections for longtime residents. Transparent decision-making processes. The bureaucratic machine that had been running roughshod over the neighborhood was dismantled piece by piece. But this was never just about winning. It was about preserving the soul of a community that had been my life's work. Each valve, each pipe I designed over the decades was more than infrastructure. They were the arteries of a neighborhood I'd helped build from the ground up. The legal proceedings painted a comprehensive picture of corruption. Forensic investigations revealed a pattern of misconduct that went far beyond my individual case. Amanda's carefully constructed professional facade crumbled under the weight of documented evidence. Financial records showed a trail of questionable transactions, strategic harassment, and systematic attempts to manipulate neighborhood dynamics. Local media picked up the story. What started as a personal conflict became a watershed moment for community governance. Other neighborhoods began to examine their own HOA practices, inspired by the transparency and technical precision of my approach. My technical expertise became more than just a professional skill. It became a weapon of justice. The intricate water system maps, the maintenance logs, the detailed engineering documentation, each piece told a story of dedication, of community protection. The water system became a symbol of something larger, a testament to community resilience, to the power of technical expertise combined with unwavering principles. Other longtime residents who had been harassed found their voice. Stories emerged of similar attempts to push out established community members. Amanda's legal troubles were just the beginning. Professional licensing boards launched investigations. Her career in property management was effectively destroyed. The consequences of her actions rippled far beyond our neighborhood, becoming a cautionary tale about abuse of power. The green smoke from the well, once a symbol of destruction, now represented a turning point. A moment when a community chose transparency over manipulation, knowledge over blind authority. Local environmental agencies used the chemical analysis of the contamination attempt as a case study in neighborhood protection. I didn't seek revenge. I sought justice. And in doing so, I had transformed not just my own situation, but the entire neighborhood's future. Community meetings became more transparent. Decision-making processes were overhauled. The HOA transformed from a bureaucratic nightmare into a truly representative organization. The red canister that once symbolized her attempt to destroy me now sat in evidence files, a reminder of how power can be challenged, how truth can prevail. It became a symbol of resistance against institutional bullying. Local engineering schools began using my case as a teaching example. How technical expertise, combined with meticulous documentation, could challenge systemic corruption. Young engineers learned about the importance of infrastructure, of community protection, of standing up against institutional overreach. As for me, I wasn't just an old engineer anymore. I was a guardian of the community's integrity, a protector of the neighborhood's true spirit. My legacy was no longer just about the pipes and valves I designed, but about the community I'd helped preserve. The water continues to flow, but now it runs clear, uncontaminated, free. And in every drop, there's a story of justice, of resilience, of a community reclaiming its power. In the end, this was never just about a well, or water, or even a single neighborhood. This was about standing up, about proving that knowledge is the most powerful weapon, that decades of experience can't be erased by a bureaucratic notice or a toxic canister. I've spent my entire life building something more than just infrastructure. I built a community. Each pipe I laid, each valve I designed was more than metal and concrete. They were connections, lifelines that ran deeper than any HOA regulation could reach. They tried to break me. Instead, they awakened something far more dangerous, a lifetime of expertise, a deep understanding of community, and an unwavering commitment to justice. My wall still stands. The water runs clear, and the neighborhood remembers. Some battles are won not with force, but with precision, with understanding, with the kind of quiet, methodical power that comes from truly knowing your ground. Every piece of documentation, every technical diagram was a shield. Every maintenance log, a sword. To those who think they can push out the old-timers. To those who believe bureaucracy trumps community. Remember this story. I didn't just defend myself. I defended a way of life. The kind of neighborhood where people know each other, where expertise matters, where integrity isn't just a word, but a way of living. The green smoke from that well, it wasn't just a symbol of destruction. It became a beacon of resistance, a reminder that true power comes from knowledge, from understanding the systems that connect us. Amanda and the HOA thought they could remake the neighborhood in their image. They didn't understand that a real community isn't built on paperwork. It's built on connection, on respect, on the deep roots that grow over decades. My story is more than a victory. It's a lesson about resilience, about standing your ground, about understanding that sometimes the quietest voices have the most profound impact. Because in the end, truth always finds its way, just like water, finding its path, unstoppable, clear,